Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I would finally make the video everybody and their moms have been asking about. Dun dun dun! It is the Unitek program. Today I will be talking about the Unitek LVN program. In particular, I'm going to make this like a two-part program where in one video I talk about the LVN program, and then in the next video I'll be talking about the LVN to RN bridge program, both of which I attended at Unitek. This might be a long and lengthy video. I have some notes put in here, so let's get to it. If you guys are familiar with my channel, you'll know that becoming an LVN was not the first initial choice for me. I actually attended San Francisco State University for 2 years, fulfilling however many prerequisites I could before hopefully applying to any nursing program, which I wasn't able to do. So I feel like nowadays, especially in this time where all colleges are very impacted, and nursing in particular, that major is just the most impacted major you could possibly get into. Becoming a nurse pretty much comes down to three things. Either you pay for your education, you wait for your education, or you're just very, very smart and you got like a 4.0 and you volunteered and you speak Spanish and you were just able to get into the program on the first try. In my particular situation, I decided that I was just going to pay for my education, if I may say it as bluntly as I can. Unitek College has 3 different campuses, if I remember correctly. I only went to the San Jose and Fremont campuses. For the LVN program, I inquired at the San Jose campus of Unitek. First things first, you make a meeting with one of their representatives. Is that what they're called? And they basically tell you about the program. They tell you about how much it costs, what you pretty much need to get in there, and I believe all you really need is a high school diploma. You also have to take a quick test that kind of just tests your English, math, reading skills. It's very basic. I mean, anybody could take it. All you have to do is pass it, and you have like a little quick interview where they just ask you like, why do you want to be a nurse? And then you're in. The length of this program was 11 months. There are no breaks in between. Well, I should say there are no lengthy breaks in between. This is a full-time program. So 11 months of Monday to Friday. Every day there's school from pretty much 8 to 4, unless you have clinical days. And then you have 1 week breaks in between 3-month trimesters. So excluding Christmas and New Year's, you get 2 weeks for that. You basically get 1 week in between everything else. Absences are very crucial in this program. You are not allowed to really have any absences at all within this 11-month term. If you do get way too many absences than you're supposed to, you do have to retake and repay, I believe, the money that you owe for basically that semester. And tardies are important too. If you're late a certain amount of times to class, you get an absence. So it's very much like a job that you have to go to every day, 8 a.m. to 4, and it's just, if you're not ready for that type of commitment, then maybe this school isn't for you. I started my class with about 40 to 50 students. In the beginning of this program, they have about a 3-week transitional course where they test you on math. They start teaching you a little bit about science and anatomy, and I think that's pretty much it. A lot of people have been asking me if math is important in nursing. How do I put this clearly? Yes. I don't know why, but math is just such a huge deal. You pretty much have to get 100% or they're not going to put you through the program. I don't know why this is, because in the real world out there, we don't really do that much math. Pretty much everything you have is a doctor's order, and they will tell you the specific dose that you need to give. So there's pretty much no messing up there unless you decide to do your own thing out on the floor, where for I don't know what reason you're doing that for. So after you get through the first 3 weeks of the program, it then transitions into the nursing classes, if you must say, and this I really enjoyed about the entire program. If you were to go to just a normal college taking your prerequisites, you don't really get anything nursing related until you're in the nursing program. What I liked about Unitek is that they started teaching you how to be a nurse from the very start. You start learning immediately about nursing specific topics like the pathophysiologies of all diseases from each system. Later in the end of the program, that's when you would learn more about specialties such as pediatrics, geriatrics, and labor and delivery. Like I said before, the whole program is a Monday to Friday kind of thing, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. You cannot be tardy or absent. The program is split up with theory hours and clinical hours. Theory is when you would go to class and learn for the whole day, and clinicals is where you would show up to your clinical sites and do your clinical work, and for those days you typically didn't have to stay the entire 8 hours. It really just depended on your clinical instructor. Clinicals didn't start till about 1 to 2 months after class started, I believe. Honestly guys, this was a long time ago, like 5 years ago. The entire program, you pretty much get sent to SNFs or skilled nursing facilities. The first trimester, I remember your only duty as a student nurse was really to just take vital signs, take blood sugars, feed the patients. You really just didn't do that much as a student nurse. I think what they were trying to do was ease you into the whole long-term care facility, and they just wanted you to get a feel of what you're about to get used to, you know, for the rest of your life potentially. During the second and third trimesters, that's when they really start honing into you and your pharmacology, and that's when you start doing med passes with your clinical instructor, you start doing wound cares, you start doing feeding tubes and stuff like that, trachs. You do all of that stuff, and I feel like if you don't know what I'm talking about, like you're not in the nursing program yet, you'll know what I'm talking about soon enough. Don't worry about it. When we're talking about how hard the program was, it's so hard to gauge, and I feel like everyone is their own person. Like, I don't know how else to put it, but it was hard for me, guys. I'm not gonna sugarcoat the LVN program. I was young, I was 20, I wanted to socialize, I wanted to have a life, and this program was really, really hard for me. The majority of my classmates were in their late 20s, early 30s, they all had families, you know, pretty much everybody was married, engaged, had their kids, and I'm over here like, I turned 21 during this program, am I gonna drink? The reasons as to why this program was hard was because you basically have a test every other day. I believe you have it every other day, every once in a while, and then it'll become every week. Sometimes you'll get it every other week, and then yeah, pretty much you're always studying in the most part. And what they like to do was have you test on the computers to kind of, I guess, prepare you for taking the NCLEX, which is also on the computer. You would go into the computer room, sit next to everybody, last minute test, meditate, do whatever you can, put in your earplugs, and then you would start your test and just continue on to the very end, and at your final question, which you'll know if it's the final question, you press finish and you get your grade right away. It's kind of stressful. Taking tests is really stressful there because I believe you have to get a 75% or more to pass. If you got anything less than a 75%, you had to do some remediations, which included doing like study guides for the test that you just failed, essentially, which I thought was always the dumbest thing, because why do a full in-depth study guide for a test you failed when you have a test the next week that you could just do a study guide for, which would further help you pass this next test coming up, because you can't retake the tests that you fail. Sorry, I'm out of breath. I started my class with about 40 to 50 people, and as the months started going on and on, the class just started dissipating into less and less people. I believe I graduated with about 22 people left in the class. Another reason why this program was so hard was because all the teachers are registered nurses. Not to say anything bad about my instructors, I really love my instructors. It's just there's something about nurses who sometimes just can't be teachers. I have a thing about classes where if you're just reading off what's going on in the PowerPoint that you're presenting to the class, I just can't pay attention. To me, reading off the bullet points that you specifically wrote in these PowerPoints is not really doing anything for me. I feel like I can read what's on the PowerPoint myself. What made this program hard for me was I had to teach myself everything. The entire program was pretty much self-taught by moi at home. I didn't find my time in theory very useful, unfortunately, and a lot of the times I would just be browsing the internet. If Unitek is watching me, don't kill me, but I would like put my headphones in here, have my hair covering everything, and I would just, you know, pretend I'm taking notes the entire class, but then I would just be thinking and planning my evening after this class, basically teaching myself everything that they were talking about in that lecture. Please don't take my approach. That was just the way I did it. Oh, also, I don't know if I mentioned this, but you also get a uniform when you go to Unitek. They provide you with blue and white scrubs. I believe you get 2 of each. You could technically buy your own scrubs if it's the same color that they have. They even gave you like a little ID card that says your name, and it's like a picture, and it gives you like a student nurse end date, blah blah blah, you know. Within these final few weeks, they basically take the time to go over the NCLEX, and that's what I really liked about Unitek. They help you apply for your boards. During school, they have someone come in, take your fingerprints. They have someone go in to help you fill the application exactly how it is, because I think part of the tuition was the NCLEX application fee, because we just did it through them. So I didn't have to worry about that post-graduation. Also, during the final few weeks, they basically go over what we call the ATI test. I don't know if it's the same now, but this is just how it was 5 years ago. I'm sure a lot has changed since then though. The ATI final exam was our exit exam, and if we didn't pass this test, we would not pass the entire program. Studying for the ATI was hard. The ATI questions were very much the whole beginning to what NCLEX questions would be. I mean, you guys, if you haven't even had the chance to look at what NCLEX questions look like, they're pretty much like, what color is this? Rose, pink, mauve, or berry? After we took the exam, we all sat in this whole common room, and we had 2 or 3 teachers all calling us in one by one to tell us the results of the test. And you either would walk out and be like, yeah, I passed, or they would walk out and be really quiet, and they would just go off to a corner, and their friends would be consoling them because they failed. And it was much like American Idol, you know, when they would go into the audition room, and if they got the gold ticket, they would go out like all excited, and everyone's like, just like, oh my gosh, like they made it, they passed, they did it. I was one of the last people to get called, and this moment was just the most stressful period of my life. All my friends were going through the doors. A lot of my close friends had passed. They were all crying with joy and excitement, and I was here crying because I felt like I failed. Like that anxiety of just waiting and just like, why haven't they called my name yet? I was literally sobbing in silence, just waiting to be one of the last people called. Even just thinking about that, I'm like tearing up right now. Oh my gosh. I got pulled into the room by my clinical instructor, and she just looks at me with these papers in her hand, and she just goes, I'm so sorry, Caitlin, but I guess I'm not gonna see you next year because you passed. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I started bawling in her arms. And I went out, and it was just like such an amazing feeling. The nursing program ultimately is just one of the most stressful experiences you will have in your life. Now, to address one of the few questions that I get asked all the time, was Unitek a good school? Do I think Unitek was a good school? I feel like my opinion on this should be taken with a grain of salt, because I'm very grateful for what Unitek got me, because it got me to where I am today. Finishing the program led me to get my LVN license, and through Unitek I was able to get into the LVN to RN program and pass, you know, and graduate from that program, and now here I am with my RN license, and no one can take that away from me except for myself, you know. But Unitek as a nursing program is very, very frustrating at times. If you decide to take this program, please expect a lot of disorganization, a lot of confusion at times. But I feel like what also made Unitek great is that you're able to bond a lot with your classmates about how sucky it really was at times. Another thing I didn't really enjoy about the LVN program in particular is that a lot of the people in the LVN program were not serious about what they were doing there. For some reason, the culture and the mental stability of everybody in the LVN program wasn't that great. Like, a lot of people were just messing around, maybe not knowing that they're throwing all their money away to loans or whatever, like whoever paid for their tuition, that they just didn't take that program as seriously as they should have. And that probably is why my class started with like 50 people and we graduated with like 22. I don't remember the exact number. It was very little compared to what we started with. Price, guys, when I went to the program back in 2013, I want to say, the price of my program was $37,000. Yeah, I said $37,000. Yes, I took out a loan for this. Yes, I paid that one off. It was all a very grueling process, but yes, it's very possible to pay off the loans very quickly once you become an LVN and get a job. But you know what? Despite it being so expensive, I got through the program. I used up all my absences that I could have. I took the NCLEX 1 or 2 months after and passed, and I got a job easily right after. So in the end, was Unitek worth it? I think so. Anyway, I feel like I've hit all the basic principles about the Unitek LVN program. If I missed anything, please ask me in the comments down below or send me a direct message on Instagram. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!